So what does it mean by grainy greens? So you might hear this term a lot, and it refers to greens that are made out of a specific type of grass, usually in warmer climes. So in Australia it'll be up in Queensland, in America it'll be sort of around Florida, and they're made from a grass called 328 couch. Well, that is historically around the 60s, a lot of greens when they were built around then, that was what they were made of. Things are changing a little bit now, but they are designed to cope with the warmer climes, and they can be a little bit tricky to play. When they're grainy, the grass is a thicker leaf and it tends to grow in a certain direction. So if you're playing grainy greens, it's really helpful to know what to do, how to know when they're down grain and up in grain. So down grain they're going to be a lot faster, up grain they're going to be a lot slower. So how do you know if you've got grainy greens, and how do you know what to do when you do have grainy greens? Let me show you, because I'm here at Terry Hills, which is the only course in Sydney that has these 328 couch greens. We're at the Shorties Par 3. So if you're going to play somewhere that has grainy greens, this is a great place to come and practice. The reason they have them here is because the grainier greens with the thicker leafed grass don't take pitch marks quite as much. Now this is a Par 3 course, a lot of high shots landing. So if they had normal grass, then they would get a lot of pitch marks and the greens would get beaten up pretty quickly. So they've got this 328 couch here to protect the greens a little bit from all the high soft landing shots, and they take less pitch marks, but the ball will bounce a little bit more off these. So that's another thing to keep in mind when you're playing grainy greens. The ball will bounce a little bit rather than stop very quickly. So you can take that into consideration. So let me take you up onto one of these greens and show you what you're looking at. If you would like a free video tip every single week straight into your inbox, then join my newsletter list. There's a link in the description, or you can go to fixmygolfswing.com.au. So you get a free video tip straight to you every single week. Plus you get first notification if I'm doing any tours or schools. You will know about it first. So join my newsletter list for a free video tip every single week straight to you. To the untrained eye, not going to look all that much different. Maybe less fine, less perfectly manicured possibly is how they'll look. As you can see, not a lot different, maybe a little bit furrier, but when they're first cut, you probably wouldn't notice the difference either. Now, when you're looking down green, they're going to look shiny, and when you're looking up green, they're going to look duller. A really good way to test the grain of the green is to just run your foot along one way and you'll see all the grass lifts up, and then you can lay it back down again. Now this will only happen if you've got these grainy greens. Most greens won't allow you to do that. You can roughly see the grass laying in one direction. Again, let's try it here. That won't happen on most greens, only on these 328 couch greens. Now another way to tell which way the grain is growing is to have a look at the hole. You can see here that it's cut really perfectly on this side, so that means the green grass is growing this way and it cut neat. And on this side you can see that it's a much rougher on this side, so the grain is growing this way. So you can always go and look at the hole to have a little look and see which way the grain is growing. If it's growing this way, it'll be cut neatly here, but it'll be rough on this side because the grain's growing this way. What about chipping with or against the grain? Now this can have an impact as well. Very, very easy, chipping down the grain. The grass is laying in the same direction as the ball is going. Use your usual technique. Very, very simple and easy. Just brush the grass underneath the ball. What about if it's into the grain? Let's turn it around. I've just brought the camera onto the other side of the ball because now the grain's going that way and now we're into the grain. Now because the grass is fairly short, it's not going to affect too much, but what you will do is just try and make sure that you continue the club through the shot. If you get sort of caught up in it, if the grass is growing that way, it can kind of stop the club a little bit. So it's okay when it's nice and short, Just make sure the club continues through. If it's a little bit thicker, it's going to be a little bit harder. If it's very thick, add some loft like a sand wedge, and then you really have to make sure you come through positively. It's a bit like hitting a chip or a pitch out of rough. At any time it's going to be tricky, and whenever there's rough around the green, you're going to add loft and try and chop through the grass a little bit. Bit hit and miss into the grain for chipping, but when the grass is short, shouldn't matter too much. When it's a bit heavier, a little bit more difficult, add loft. So down grain is fast, up grain is slow, and it can be quite considerable, so keep that in mind when you're playing on grainy greens. And if you do want to do some practice, come out to Terry Hills Par 3, which is a great course, really great practice for your short game. A lot of 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 metre Par 3s, grainy greens if you need to practice. See you next time. Bye.